I actually did have to bounce out of Caucasian Sasquatch's chat to come and do this. I do appreciate the invite, and I will absolutely take you up on that, Sasquatch. Right now, I've got to do a little bit of woodworking, because if I don't, I'm not going to get it done. So, I do apologize for the empty chair, but I will be right back. And yeah, as for the sound, I know there's trouble with the sound. The tablet I'm using to do this is damaged. Dropped it directly on the microphone a few days ago, or a couple weeks ago now, I think, and best I can get. So, let me get my apron on, turn on some lights, and we'll go back to work on that project I was doing earlier. And I've been informed that the cigarette tap on the camera is apparently a full-on dick move. I don't think of it that way. I just did it once by random, and it seems to have gotten people's attention, so I'm going to keep doing it because, well, if something grabs people's attention on YouTube, that's a good thing. Okay, so, glasses, glove. Okay, so earlier I did the, as you can see, I've got an all-over burn on this piece, and now I need to get a bit of sanding done in there. There's my knife. Aha! Oh, full of sawdust. Not surprising. And about, easy now. One of the things I don't like about really long bladed knives, and I'm not a huge fan of these utility knives, to be honest. They do come in really handy for certain things. Cutting sandpaper is one of them. Let's see, I'm only going to need a little bit for this, so that should be more than enough. But just in case I do need a second piece about the same size, I will match that roughly, so about there. And I'm not particularly concerned about making a straight line cut, though I did that time, because, well, come on, oh sure. No, splinter. As I was saying, I'm not particularly concerned. Hi, Earl. Yes, I am, in fact, playing with my wood. Let me make sure I've got live chat set up properly, and I'll go back to it. Come on, YouTube. There we go. Yes, I am, in fact, playing with my wood. I'm working on the project, the bookends that I was talking about before. I'll move this back over to the chair. This is in the way at the moment. And nice apron. Yeah, actually, it's one of those things that people don't really think about is how much of a piece of safety equipment the apron actually is. Okay, so we'll put that back over there. Now, what I need to do is get this hole cleaned out. So to do that, and I'm not super concerned about the bottom. I can use any number of devices to do that. But the sides of that hole need a bit of work. And I'm probably going to end up using, I guess we'll do it the hard way. And I'm expecting this to take a little bit of really, really irritating, move that so you guys can see what I'm doing. But I'm expecting this to take a little bit of irritating work to get done. This is going to be finicky as hell. Let's move it over the edge of the table so that I can actually work on it and let that stuff fall to the floor. And for those of you who are thinking that woodworking might not be such a dirty job as, say, plumbing or, I don't know, say mechanic, yeah, I have news for you. Some of the processes we go through are pretty friggin' nasty. Oh, now you're getting stuck in the area. Okay. This is just tedious as hell doing this. All I'm really doing is taking the soot that I created earlier off and just cleaning up around the hole a little bit there. It doesn't look too bad. It's just a little bit of 100 grit that I'm using, so all I'm really doing is creating striations while I'm taking off the soot. And I did manage to get the sandpaper down into the bottom of the hole to get the worst of the soot that's in there out as well. Let me see if I can get a good angle. There we are. So now, cloth. I will in fact need a rag, and by rights, well, I've got some water out here to drink, but that's going to get used probably to clean my hands. And I'm not being particularly picky about cleaning my hands for two reasons. One, because they're just going to get dirty again. And two, the only real reason I'm wiping my fingers off is because I want to be able to get a good grip on things. And believe it or not, carbon makes a bit of a decent lubricant sometimes. So now I need to check and see if this will fit. I'm pretty sure it won't. It's very close though, so what I'm going to do is take, let's see, I should have a rotary tool here somewhere. Come to think of it, if I'd been a bit smarter, I would have used a hole saw for that. But in any case, move my little table out of the way and grab my rotary tool. Take down that cobweb while I'm at it. Okay, that goes back in there. In case you guys are wondering why I'm poking them down into the table, it's because I want to protect those points. They aren't as sharp as they were. They were sharp enough to poke a hole in me at one point, but since they've been sanded, they've been settled down a fair bit. Now for this, I really would like to have the extension, the flex extend a while ago. So what I'm going to have to do is use the actual tool itself, which shouldn't be a big problem. Let's see how tight that is. Good. Okay. And for boring that out, because I only want to take just the edge off at a time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up around, and then I'm going to burn it again and do the exact same process I just did with the sandpaper. And once that gets to a certain point, I should be able to press fit that first spike in there. And this one looks like he's been pretty hard used, so we'll go with him. Get you in there a little tight, and then get you wrenched down. And one of the reasons you guys always see me putting things back as soon as I'm done using them is because if it's a small set of tools, like the pieces that go in a rotary tool, happen to knock the container over once, and things are scattered, and it takes forever to find them again. Leave you down there for the moment. Now, for this, because I'm going to be using a rotary tool, that's going to probably going to aerosolize some dust and fine particulate, I am going to grab a mask. And I believe the only mask I have, yes, is my actual filter mask, which is just as well. I'm going to use this. This is technically for gases, but of course it will work very well for soot and things of that nature. And I guess I made a mistake at some point and didn't clean it before I put it away, which I really should have. I should be able to use the other side of this to wipe that off real quick. Yep. And, oh, that's actually getting a little discolored from all the various chemicals that have been sprayed near it. I've done lacquering, varnishing, painting, a lot of fire work with this particular mask. One thing I have found is if you put these cartridges in a sealed bag, they last a lot longer than the manufacturer expects them to. So that's always good news. And before I put that on, I'm definitely going to want one of my bandanas. Let's see. Anybody say anything on chat lately before I get too wrapped up in this? Sasquatch says I'm cheating on him. Sorry, man. I guess I just should not have come into your stream. I expected just to pop in, say hi, and then go on. I didn't expect to be invited to join. In the meantime, though, I definitely will take you up on that invite. Just for the sake of a conversation more than anything, which is obviously, you know yourself, I love to converse with my chat, so. Give me just a second here, I get this thing sorted out. And I did see I had at least one more comment that I haven't addressed yet, so I will get to that as well before I get started on this noisy thing. Speaking of noise, definitely going to need some ear pro. And those can go back in the drawer. Or the locker, rather. So, of course, I color code my earplugs. Orange goes in the ear with the gold in it. Purple goes in the ear that doesn't have gold in it. That way, if I go to reuse them, I know which ear they came out of. For the record, when I say reuse, I mean reuse within an hour of taking them out, not let them sit in my pocket all night and then use them again. I've seen people do that, and that leads to some very interesting ear infections. And being that I'm a little susceptible to ear infections, I don't recommend it. Now, while that one is expanding in my right ear, let's see what's been said here. Earl says woodworking. Oh, Earl says bookends. Nice, as long as it's not bell ends. I could carve those too, but I won't. And he also says woodworking is never an easy trade. I don't think there's such a thing as an easy trade. There are easy jobs within the trade, things that are easy to do, but as far as actual trade work itself goes, no, very much never an easy job. Now, I will grant you, for Ginger, cabinet making is a lot easier than, say, roofing. Especially in the summer. But that's me ripping off a Bill Burr joke. And it's going to be kind of hard for you guys to hear me at this point. Okay. And for the record, if you guys can still hear me, I recommend turning your sound down because that thing is fucking loud. That bastard right there. Son of a bitch. I did cover an outlet. Okay. Well. Last time I did some spraying, I forgot to take down the backdrop. Thought it was fine to leave it, but guess I was incorrect because there's an outlet right there that I need. Okay, that'll do. Okay. Definitely not finished with that yet. So, I can't quite get the spike down in there. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do another burn, do another sand, see if that works. That should cost me enough surface to do it. And just so you guys can watch what I'm doing, because there's no way I'm going to do it pointed at a table or pointed at that piece of vinyl on the wall, for example. There we are. Now, I've got to give that a few minutes to cool anyway. So, now was a good time to have a cigarette. And to chat with my people. And figure out what the hell I've got in my pocket. Okay, that's no good. Typical Arden, playing with his wood again. Hi, Bezic, how you doing, buddy? Yes, in fact, I am, in fact, playing with my wood again. And I'm also just about to sit down and have a cigarette while I have a break. Though I do have to move a few things off of my chair. Oh, and hopefully Sasquatch is still here. I just wanted to let him know I took his advice, and I did make some keychains. I have all the photography for that done. I just have to get the post put together for my... Oh, let me move this back and get my table moved out from under my feet. There we are. Okay. So, yeah. Don't need to be picky about it because it's just me in the shed, but anyway. Yeah, I did take Sasquatch's advice and make some... Eddie Gannon. Okay, yeah, I think I remember you. I'm terrible with names, so forgive me. There are people who have messaged me in the last few days since YouTube started recommending my stuff, who I think I've never heard of, and they point out, no, we've talked on this stream or that stream. Where did I put my smokes? Just a second. Okay, sit up there now. Not much good to go back there without a lighter. I'm not using that torch to light a cigarette ever again. Let's see. Howdy from Ireland. Hi, good to see you. He's on another live, brother. Why? Oh, Sasquatch, okay. The guy that played the guitar. I'm not sure. I think I might have bounced off of Sasquatch's stream before I saw who you were talking about there, Eddie. But anyway, greetings from Newfoundland. Nice to have you. As I was saying, since I was talking about the keychains, it was Sasquatch's suggestion that actually gave me that idea. And I did have some, what I was considering scrap, that actually, it's quite nice wood, so it would make a decent keychain. So those will be going up on the Getter and available through my email. You can find that. Well, you won't find it in this description yet. Once the stream is over, I'll be updating the description. Unless I can do it now, and I don't believe I can. No, okay. Check, because I'm a friggin' idiot. I have to wait for one of the overlays to disappear here now. That needs to go away. Okay, there we are. Live chat. Okay, yeah. So anyway, accidentally disconnected myself for a second there. Hit one, literally that far apart, and I have fingers and thumbs this big. It's not helpful. And while, yes, this would probably be easier with an actual camera, especially considering the sound is such garbage because of the busted mic on the end. Which reminds me, I should bring that closer so I don't have to shout at the camera. There we go. Yeah, the idea for the keychain, that's absolutely Sasquatch's credit, so I appreciate that. As I said, those will be images of those will go on my Getter account. They'll be pinned to the profile. My candle holder that I made a couple of weeks ago now is already there. Hi, Violence. How you doing? It's good to see you. Let me see. Yeah, so this piece that I'm working, well, these pieces that I'm working on, excuse me, the bookends, those will, once they're completed, those will be going, excuse me, a little bit of gas. Gonna have to run a collection to get you a decent setup for streaming woodwork. You know, if you're gonna take up a collection, Bezic, take up a collection for equipment for me to do woodworking with. Don't don't crowdfund me a camera until I've got at least a jointer and a planer, or funds for lumber. Oof. And if that camera comes and says only for OnlyFans, I'm going to be mad. And yes, Violence, I am in fact playing with my wood again. But no, yeah, the bookends, once they're completed, only wood. Love of gods, I keep getting disconnected. Must be my internet today. Let me see what, if I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi. Come on, Wi-Fi, you can do it. Watch me disconnect myself completely here now. Good gods. I've been having all kinds of problems with the internet lately. Don't really think there's a hell of a lot to be done about it. And it may be this device is getting past its lifetime. I noticed that I'm getting a little bit of stutter in my image. Need to get you a streaming setup to keep your audio tolerable while running machines. Yes. And to be honest, if I was of a mind to do it, it would be simpler for me to simply dictate what I'm doing into a little dictaphone or a Bluetooth recorder and simply splice the two tracks together, the video track and the audio track. Though I would have no idea how to do that at this point. I'm barely passable. Mic 'em up ASMR. No, miking me up is a bad idea. I sweat a lot, and any electric device on my body is going to be a risk. Violence says she got a community guideline strike and doesn't know why. What the hell? I got a copyright claim for that YMCA parody video that I did a while ago. And the reason I got was that Susan does not like sane people, Bezic, you're absolutely correct. But the reason I got the strike, or the claim rather, not a strike, to be clear, the reason that they gave me was that I used music from a YMCA medley. When I contacted them, they said, "Oh no, this is music that's copyrighted by the artist oh my, what was the band that did YMCA? The Village People." They claimed it was copyrighted music from the Village People. I pointed out to them that it's actually a parody video, and then they of course came back with, "Well, yes, but you used too much of it." And I pointed out, "Yes, but that still doesn't make you right," and haven't heard back since. So who knows? And of course, the mechanism to fight a claim like that doesn't provide you the option to go, "Hey, by the way, you actually claimed me sort of correctly, but for the wrong people," unless they're actually claiming this YMCA parody for the Village People as well, which I doubt. Let's see. Only wood, only flautists. Yeah. The whole flute thing, I plan to make another hike up that hill sometime this week. And I'll be taking an axe and a folding saw with me. Well, I'll take the same kit I took before. It's still hanging over there. But I'll take all that kit with me. And check my time here. 5:42. Okay. I've got about an hour before I have to go anyway. So, but yeah, I'll be taking that kit with me, and I'll be trying to find some decent pieces of juniper again. What I'm hoping is, because the hill that I'm going to is much further away from the water, that the juniper I will harvest there, ideally that I'll be able to harvest in that area, will have far less salt involved in it, and I don't intend to let it sit nearly as long as the 2-year-old stuff that I was trying to use, which is, by the way, the 2-year-old stuff that's also currently sitting as steaks over there on the table. In any case, before I get too comfortable sitting here, I need to get back to work and go and grab a shower before I make that phone call with my friend. Yes, believe it or not, I actually do have friends. I know, crazy. Let's see. Okay, so the next thing I have to do is clean up that burn, and I'll do that now. You guys are coming with me again. I know, I'm such a bastard, bringing you everywhere I go. Let's get the camera angle correct. And there we go. A little more. There we are. So, as before, I'm going to be using this piece of rolled up sandpaper. It's just 100 grit. And all I'm doing is, well, I'll do a little bit of cleanup on the top surface because I didn't intend to burn that again. But that won't make a big difference to the final product. And then I clean this out. And I'm hoping I won't have to get the steak or the horn. When I say press fit or press fixed, all I'm planning to do here is just use mechanical pressure, the wonder of physics, to hold it in place. And ideally, once I've done that, I'm going to move those out of there because I don't want to break those. Those are expensive. But ideally, once I've got that done, then I will be, once I've got this done, rather. Okay, I've got to clean my fingers off again. Yeah, anybody who tells you woodworking is a clean job, laugh at them. Now, granted, this is essentially dry dirt. Once I run water over this, it'll be gone, but for the time being, it's pretty messy. And part of the reason, the biggest reason that I'm doing that, cleaning my hands off, is because carbon, for those of you who've done any sort of industrial stuff, you're aware that graphite makes an excellent dry lubricant. And the problem with that is I don't need my hand to be lubricated at this point trying to grab the stuff. Nope. And I really shouldn't be doing that, but it's a little quicker than grabbing the brush at this point. Now, I'm going to try the spike in there again. I keep forgetting to call it a horn, but that's very close. And I think we may actually have success here now. No, not quite. Okay. So what I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on this end. And actually, no, I'm not, because I can see where it's not quite fitting on there. So because I can see a pale, let me turn this, because there's a pale ring on the inside edge, that's pretty good indication that it's very close to fitting, but not quite. So I do have to grab the rotary tool again, which means I have to grab my mask and my earplugs and all that good stuff and give you guys the audio warning. Let's see here. Try to stream raid. Sasquatch tried to stream raid me and everybody else took off. And I can't use these because there was something in that pocket. Oh, I guess there was some paper in there the last time I washed these pants. Well, that's the end of those then. Had to get a new set of earplugs. Let me see, what was that? Caucasian said he tried a stream raid on me and it didn't work. It's because the gods protect me, my friend. Everyone but Eddie Gannon left. Eddie was here. I don't know if he's still here, but he was here for a little bit. Let's see. Not a warning. Did you get an email? I didn't get an email either, so who knows? I did end up having to go and check the studio page on my desktop. For whatever reason, checking the studio app didn't give me any sort of heads up either, which is really irritating. Violence that she's not feeling well, that's sad to hear. Hopefully that passes away fairly quickly, or goes away fairly quickly. It will say something about why, but it won't make sense. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Yeah, anyway, let's bring you guys back down here. Pay no attention to the fat man of the apron. Get those back in the locker. Let's see. Violet says she looked, but she didn't see one. That really sucks. But yeah, I discovered the hard way that YouTube doesn't give you warnings. But they were nice enough to point out that I wasn't getting copyright struck, but that I was getting copyright claimed. Really, it's a bag of one versus another. It's just a green tomato versus a red tomato at this point for me. I don't expect I'll ever have monetization on my account, or my channel anyway. What else have we got here? What am I going to do to that defenseless wood? I'm going to treat it to a reaming. I'm going to ream the hole. Brace yourself, Martha! I'm going in dry. Okay, so again, I'll give you that audio warning before I turn this on. Sorry, my glass is fogged up. Which we shouldn't be doing around this now. Okay, thumbs up. And yes, I did take a very small amount of material up that time. Mostly because it's a good idea to sneak up on your cuts. Because, as one of my instructors was wont to say, you can always take more wood away, but you can never add any. I don't think I'll have to burn that again to get this to fit, so hopefully this should do. Get in there, you nuisance. Now, that's basically secure, but I'm willing to bet that it's out again, so it's not sinking as deep as I'd like it to. So, I'm left with one of two choices. I can either take wood off of this or wood off of this. Considering I can't make another one of these, I'm going to take it from here. So this gets opened up to fresh paper, and hopefully a little tiny bit of work will give me all the space I need. And I'm being careful to stay below the rim of that hole so that I don't destroy the illusion that it's one continuous piece. Okay, let's give that a shot. That should go in there neatly now. Nope, not quite. No, are you sinking deeper this time though? That's the question. Yeah, it's definitely going in deeper because you can see the shiny band here shows that it's gone in a little further. And my neighbor is going by with his garbage can for tomorrow. Okay, I don't think that's going into my water. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to try focusing on the spots that are burned and not revealed. Let's see if that'll do. I may have to grab that rotary tool again, actually, because this is a bit of a pain in the ass to do by hand in that tight little space. And while I'm doing that, you guys can ignore my neighbor outside. Okay. This time I'm not going to bother with the mask, but I will give you the audio warning again. Before I do that, though, I'll check chat, see if anybody said anything else I need to respond to. Buzz, yeah. Given a warning for a full-on strikeable. Said misleading and dishonest practices. You really don't strike me as disleading and dishonest. Violet says she only knows to strike when she could not add vids to a playlist. She's playing outside now. Let's see. Talking to a decal company about sponsorship of Caucasian Sasquatch. All I hear is free decals. I've considered attempting to get a sponsorship, but I have no idea how to go about it. And really, it's such a small channel, I'm not sure it's worth my time. But that's an issue for another time. Anyway, audio warning. 3, 2, 1. And the worst thing about a rotary tool, it's not the most precise instrument in the world, but I think I did okay. Okay. So that's sitting in nice and tight. Let me get the ears out so I don't scream at you guys. So that's sitting nice and tight. Yeah, but I am going to put a little bit of glue underneath it just to ensure it stays. Yeah, it's sinking right to the bottom now. That's awesome. Put that there. Actually, before I glue that, I want to cut that off. So, you guys get to watch me do some heavy moving while I set up my miter saw real quick. Yeah, you're going to have to go over there. As my father used to say, strong like a big onion. No, you're not set all the way back. Let's get that done. Spiders have been busy. Okay. Not quite. You're running. Oh, that's what you're running into. Let's not have that there then. Okay. Clamp that down because I don't want to have to move this a whole lot of other times. I'm going to set this where I want to leave it more or less permanently. Now, this is going to be really loud. And once I have this cut done, I'll do a quick burn on the end that I'm going to keep. And while I'm at it, actually, I'm going to do a couple of other cuts. I'm going to trim these down. These are going to be the ends of my bookends. And again, reclaimed wood. What else have we got here? I was showing a public domain movie. I clicked the wrong link. Was actually showing the wrong version, so technically I was wrong. Oh, okay. What movie? Now I'm curious. I didn't know movies were becoming public domain yet. I assumed all the studios had solid locks on their copyrights. Speaking of movies that the studios assumed they had a solid lock on, anyone else find it absolutely hilarious? Hi, Kingdom. Anyone else find it absolutely hilarious that a hacker in China has turned the Little Mermaid back into a white redhead? In case you're wondering what I'm doing with my mouth, that's just to get the Violent says she has a backlog of vids she needs to edit. I have a backlog of things I need to get done. Kingdom says he didn't know films were becoming public domain either. You guys aren't going to see me work if I do it from here, so let's try bringing you over here. Yeah, okay, you can watch me cut my fingers off from that angle. For the record, the number for the ambulance here in... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to cut my fingers off. Okay. Okay. Now, because these have obviously a bit of a queer shape to them, I'm going to trim them off this way first. Audio warning. Okay. Should be a straight line. Oh, that is very much not a straight line. That's unfortunate. Oh, that's why. Didn't quite cut all the way in. Is that safe to cut? Possibly. Okay, this is scrap now, so that'll sit there. Okay, there's a tiny little bit that didn't quite get hit by the saw blade, but given that I have to take that edge off, it doesn't matter. So the reason I made that last cut was because the blade was missing the very corner and leaving an uneven edge. So I'm going to make the same sort of cut on this edge. So I'll have 4 clean edges. And not 100% sure exactly what sort of treatment I'm going to give it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of holes in this, so I may not use this stuff at all once I get it done. In fact, I'm not going to. I have better pieces I can use. Get over there! Freaking listen to me. Now, this is old reclaimed wood from a hospital that was here for years. Obviously, there's a massive crack on that edge. And there's some obvious water damage. At least I hope it's water. But the back of the board itself is nice and flat. So I'm going to cut sections out of this that will match up to not the height, but at least the width that I'm planning for the bookend. So I can show you guys that fairly quick, I think, from where you are. So I'm measuring the gap, or the distance from the edge here to this edge, which is roughly 7/8 of an inch. And then all I have to do is pin my tape, grab my pencil, on you, push that so it goes back to an inch, go to 7/8 on this side, and then I have my point to make my mark, for which I will need a T-square. Or a quick corner. I'm sure there's a bunch of different names for this. There we are. So basically, once I make the cut here, I'll have the full length of this. I'll have to do a burn on the end again, and that'll require some sponge sanding and a quick touch with that stuff. And then I'm ready to glue that together. And then once I have the pieces from that wood cut, I can back them against it, clamp them together with glue. So bring that over here. Oh, cable fell off. Just a second. Let's get that up off the floor. There we are. Now, you guys can't see it, but there is a laser guide on this, which, in fact, I can't see because, well, it's just right in here. But, again, it's just about sneaking up on your cut, so I'm going to try it right about just a little past. And for those of you who've noticed, I do hold the blade all the way down until it stops, because that prevents kickback. Unfortunately, it doesn't do much for tear out. But when I burn this, it's going to lose some of that surface anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So that's ready to go. And now I have a length to cut from the rest of this piece. And that looks... Yeah, I had mentioned before that this little flaw here was going to be something I'd want to get rid of. Because of the way these will mate up, that won't be an issue because that will be burned away. Yeah, so now it's just a matter of getting the measurement from this piece, matching it over to this piece, cutting this piece. Actually, I don't think I'll do that. I think I'll just drill this piece before I do that. But before I do any of that, I'm going to mate these two pieces back together. Now, as you can see, that's in there pretty solid. It leans a little bit to this side along this plane, and given that this plane is actually the more dynamic side, I will put a backer against here. I'm not particularly happy with the way that hole turned out, to be honest. It's a little big on that end. Okay, so that's where it fits the best. And of course now it's pointed the wrong way. So what I may do, in fact, is actually glue a piece to the back here and have the bookend, when you're basically looking at it, we'll have a piece facing this way and it'll sit on the shelf like this. So I don't actually need to do a burn on that edge. At least not yet. Once I have this glued together, I can do the burn then, and that then should be a complete piece. Unfortunately, as I said, I do have to go and get ready to talk to a friend. Oh, that would explain why the laser wasn't visible. It wasn't on, even though I thought it was. So, as I was saying, I do have to go and get ready to talk to a friend. It's a conversation that's been a while coming, and because we're good friends, I generally go out of my way to talk to my friends when I have an opportunity. And it's been a while since we had a chance to chat, so I'm going to have a smoke with you guys now, and then I'm going to go and do that. In the meantime, I have to move this table back where it belongs. Which means... yeah, I don't think I need to subject you guys to me bending over again. Especially considering this is a little bit of a slapstick show at this point, because I had to bend so far down my apron, caught on the edge of the table, and I just about tipped everything up. Get in there. Okay. There we are. Whew. Well, I'm certainly warmed up now. And I've got at least somebody still alive. No fairy tale ever had a happy ending. Ain't that the truth? Those Grimm brothers were bastards. In fact, I wonder if that's not where the term Grimm came from for dark outcomes or dark happenings. Let's see. Let's try to put them on Odyssey, but it keeps telling me the frame rate is too high. Kingdom says the only way I might watch the new Little Mermaid is the Chinese edit where she's a redhead, not race swapped. Yeah. As I was saying, I mentioned the AI. They turned her back into a redhead for the entire trailer. And according to the guy who programmed the AI, within 24 hours of the release of the film, which is supposed to be 2.5 hours, something like that, apparently, according to him, within 2 hours or 24 hours of that film's release, he can have the entire film done that way. So while it is very rare for me to say anything good about the CCP or China in general, I very much want to be thankful to this particular hacker, or whatever term he deserves. And if I ever meet him, I will absolutely buy him a drink, because contributing to the continuance of the ginger race is always a good thing. Up the ginger supremacy. Very few films. Okay, Sasquatch says very few films are fully public domain. The General with Buster Keaton is one of the more famous ones. That's a Civil War movie, if I remember correctly. Buster Keaton was awesome as well. Violence says she played the classic mermaid for her girls, along with Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. Perfect. I'd also recommend, well, no, I guess they're probably not old enough for that yet. When they get a little older, Princess Bride. And when they get a little older than that, probably Lady Hawk. And, let's see. Kingdom says the original Brothers Grimm versions would probably make good horror movies. Yes. Yes, they probably would. Who was... I forget, but yeah, those Grimm brother tales are pretty dark. Violence says she has a couple of long pieces of rough cut wood, need to varnish them or something and put them in the shed out of the weather. Okay, if they're just designer pieces or whatever, yeah, I could understand that. Kingdom says maybe you could use them for firewood or maybe make a rifle stock. Making a rifle stock requires one tool and something to hold the piece of wood. Generally, that's a rasp. Now, you'll want sandpaper to finish, but no fairy tale. And Kingdom says while he can't play it, he's excited for the F100 Super Sabre and F4E Phantom 2 are coming to DCS. Not sure what DCS is, though I suspect I probably should. And I'll turn off that light again so I don't waste energy. Oh. Surprising how sweaty I get inside this apron. Okay, and I've just discovered I had to move my hook for my apron again. Because where it sits now, it's actually against the blade of the table saw. And that's not acceptable, considering how wet that garment gets. So that will probably get moved to the other side of the shed, or even down by the big doors. Or potentially on the wall right behind me, which actually might be a better choice. So I think it would be nice to have something more than just the wood rack right over my head. Yeah, as you can see, I get pretty sweaty under there, which is great if you're trying to lose weight. But oh, Digital Combat Simulator, okay. Violence says she wants to make shelves out of them. If they're rough cut, my suggestion would be to make sure they're not warping. The best way to do that is probably keep them in your house. Well, wait now. You're in Louisiana. Yeah, get them out of the weather. They should be fine. If they're not super long, I would recommend wrapping them in something like cling wrap or plastic wrap. That'll definitely make a difference for keeping them from warping and twisting. If you're not planning to do any more work on them, you could probably put them up now, but that's a thought. And it depends if you're making shelves for a shed or whatever as well. The only concern with shelves for a shed is that they go up level, not that they necessarily be pretty. For example, reusing old cabinets. Let's see, anybody else? Digital Combat Simulator, very realistic military flight sim. I'm sure I've heard of it, but well, you guys are aware, I play Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto 5. Those are pretty much the only two games I play when it comes to video games. Mostly because they're just massive time sinks for when I have nothing else to do, which hasn't been a concern lately. Been pretty busy off camera. Or on camera, just on other people's streams. Speaking of which, I was on Yiz's stream again last night, which I had a blast doing that Discord and Dragons show. And same with the Sultans of Shadilay on Saturdays. I absolutely enjoy. I'm the kind of person who loves to talk to people. And talking to people energizes me. Being around people energizes me. And yeah, you know, I would far rather have a conversation than just blab at a camera all day. By which I mean to not have a chat would make me insane. I couldn't do this without a chat. It's a little different making my videos because I know that I'm monologuing at that point. But even then, I try to talk to the camera as if I'm talking to someone else. Okay, folks, it is just after an hour. It is 20 after 6, and I need to get a shower, clean up, and then I'm going to make my call with my friend. And then, what is it, Tuesday? Is Tuesday the broken? No, Wednesday is the Broken Crown stream. I know there's something I do on Tuesdays. Anyway, I'm also going to make an attempt to to get back to doing some of the voice work. My voice has not recovered fully from the last time I had COVID, so my suspicion is that I may have to re-record everything in order to keep what was Venture and will be retitled Leaving Day. You can find those. I think they have their own dedicated playlist on my channel, actually. But I want to do those justice. Those are stories my buddy Cass wrote, and I really want to do them justice and make sure that they get the reception they deserve. And I want to do as good a job as I can. Consistency is going to be important, and because of that, if my voice has changed significantly, which I won't know until I start to re-record, I want to know whether or not I need to re-record the whole thing. I suspect my voice has gotten a little raspier, and having listened to some audiobooks, lately I've been listening to the Near the Fireplace Lord of the Rings books. And one thing I do find somewhat disconcerting, somewhat slightly pulls me out of the narrative, is when the narrator's voice changes. If, for example, they've gotten a cold, or if even someone else takes over a character. I find that very disconcerting. One of my favorite audiobook series, of course, is James Marsters' Dresden Files reads. Those are amazing. I cannot recommend them enough. And YouTube won't even let you upload a short. That really sucks violence. Let's see. Kingdom says the F5 is in DCS, which the Royal Canadian Air Force had, as well as the F-18C Hornet, which to my knowledge Canada is currently flying before they get F-35s. Yes, I believe we are still flying the CF-18 Hornet. If I recall correctly, the C for the F-18 goes at the beginning for Canadian forces. I think F-18C was a model variant. And I'm racking my brain to think of whether it was an Interceptor or some other variant. But in any case, I do have to go. So I will wish you all a good evening. Wish you continued health, especially you, Violence. I hope you do well in the next few days, feel better. In any case, I hope you're having a good day. I hope you continue to have good days, and rise again until lambs become lions. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.